Hey friends, welcome to this video. So I thought I'd chat a bit about my most commonly used shortcut keys, as well as a bunch of other shortcuts or things that make me more efficient in like my day-to-day things that I do. I'm coding or editing articles or editing videos, so maybe these shortcuts can be helpful to other people. Also, I would love to hear what maybe shortcuts that you might be using, so please do remember to leave them in the comments. I think they're always useful things that can help us, especially when we sit on a computer for a large portion of our days. Or I find that it's really nice to find something which really speeds up my productivity, or it just makes me a little bit more efficient. Okay, so let's start off with the mouse. So as you can see, there's a whole bunch of buttons here which all can be customized. So I also have a button here. These buttons are just the speed setting for the mouse. So the higher the speed, the faster the mouse cursor moves. Let's check out the mouse buttons. So the mouse, you can customize quite a bit, even the lighting and everything, the speed, etc. But that's all good. We don't need to worry about that. Even the DPI. As you can see here, we have a bunch of buttons on the top, so pretty much everything is customizable, which is what I really love about this mouse. Let's break it down quickly. The most shortcuts that I use a lot are usually the top 3, so these maybe top 6 of the buttons. The most commonly used one is the copy, paste, cut, backwards, forwards. Those ones I use a lot. So just by having it on the mouse, it saves me so much time as opposed to using having to take my hand off the mouse, Control C, Control V, Alt back, Alt forward, those kind of things just to navigate, which you'll see in a moment. But alright, but here let's just quickly go through them. So I have 12 shortcut keys on the side. So first one, number 1 is copy, number 2 is paste, number 3 is forward. Backward is the top button. Sorry, I think I said that was forward, but other way around. So forward, because back, I use back a lot more than forward. So back being on the top is way more accessible than the 3 button. And also keep in mind, this mouse is not, I'm left-handed, and this mouse is kind of geared as a right-handed for a right-hand person. Like normally you'd be using your thumb, which makes it so much easier even to get to the bottom button. It's so much easier with the thumb. But I guess I've just learned to use it with my, what do you call that, the ring finger, I suppose. Which is probably the reason why I don't really use the last few buttons, just because it's a bit difficult, to actually get there with that finger. But anyway. Then number 4, it's a combo key, so it's right control plus a slash. I think that's in VS Code and in Visual Studio is just to add a comment. 5 would be to cut paste, 6 is a combo key, just to enter. 7, right control plus F12, so Visual Studio, you'll know that takes you to like the definition or the implementation of something. 8, right Alt and F12, and then we come to 9, which is right control and plus. So you can see a lot of these are shortcut keys for Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code. 11 and 12, left control, Windows button, and then left, and then 12 would be control, Windows, right. So that just navigates through. So if I use it, let's try it. So it navigates between desktops for me, which is quite cool. So you can customize all of these, which is quite nice. Let's see it a bit in action. For example, let's start with Visual Studio, which is kind of similar to VS Code as well. So, I mean, if you're coding and you navigate between things, and now this is a very simple example program, but if I had different files, and let's say I'd gone through, so let's say we went to media player, we F12 to all sorts of things, and now I want to go back, so I can just use my back and it navigates the mouse cursor to every place that I was going back, and conversely vice versa. I can do the forward button and I can go forward to take me where I was, where I had previously been, which is quite cool. I mean, in a big code base, this is such a big help, because especially when you're dealing with a lot of files, you're constantly going between files, between functions, all sorts of things. So the back and forward really plays a big role. Same thing in a browser. So if you're going somewhere and you need to go back, you can just click the mouse button, forward, goes forward again. So it's a big help. It's a big efficient way to do things. Let's go to our copy and paste, which is also a great one. So I'm sure if you code a lot, even if you're an editor, deal with a lot of Word, article processing, that sort of stuff, just copying, if I need to copy that, paste it somewhere else, plays a huge role just by copy paste. I have it right here. Or conversely, if I need to cut, I just cut and then paste it wherever I need. So it's quite nice like that. I'll also take an example. Let's say I'm editing an article, which I was doing, so that I had created. So let's quickly edit a bit. I can copy paste. It's quite simple. If I need to take something out, if I feel like this belongs somewhere else, I can just copy that entire sentence or cut it, put it to where I think it goes, just undo that. And yeah, those are definitely the most used shortcuts that I use. So some other shortcuts that I use is thanks to the Logitech keyboard that I have. It does have a bunch of shortcut keys at the top here. So your function keys, you can use or assign a couple of them as shortcut keys. So for example, I've assigned these 3 keys at the top here. So it comes kind of defaulted to the icons that are on there, but you can customize them, which is cool. So for example, if I need to take a screenshot, I can just click the function key and then F4, and I can take a screenshot, which is quite cool, because that's also a common use case I have a lot. Yeah, I don't really use the other ones, but you can also customize them to whatever you want, which is quite cool. And naturally, if you know about the Logitech keyboards, they have this option where you have these 3 buttons, so you can switch between devices. So let's say you need the keyboard on your tablet, your phone, your desktop. You can assign each profile via the keys to each device and then just switch between each one just with the touch of a button. As soon as you hit the button, it literally switches to that specific device, which is quite cool. Something else which is pretty cool, which Logitech have introduced, is something called Smart Actions. What that entails is kind of setting up a workflow, having a trigger, and then that trigger can open up a bunch of things. But I haven't got it to work properly just yet. I have to open up the Logitech app and then I can hit the trigger. So for example, I have a trigger just hitting control number 1, and then doing that should open up a bunch of applications that I use every day, for example. Just need to check why that's not quite working, but I think it's quite a cool idea. Nice and easy way to do something. So then another cool thing or cool app that I use a lot, or not a lot, but for a couple of things, is a Microsoft, I think it's a Microsoft app. It's called PowerToys. It has a bunch of things that you can use within Windows that kind of adds on to everyday things. So for example, let's take this one, always on top. So let's say I have an app, or let's say you have a video that you're watching on YouTube in a browser window, and you only have one screen, but you want that video to always show on top while you're doing whatever it is you're doing. You can hit the shortcut keys Windows Control T, and then it'll highlight the window that you want and it'll keep it on top of everything. So I can go to another window, I can drag another window across, but this one will always stay on top, which is quite cool. Yeah, I use this quite as a good example when using VS Code, which extends to both screens, in my workflow video. So if you want to check that out, yeah, just check out the video that'll pop up just now. But otherwise, we can go back. Let's see what else we can show here. So another cool thing is something that they have called fancy zones. So it's similar to the Windows layout, but I think it's just a little bit easier to use. So if I hold down Shift and I try to reposition this, I can set up these fancy zones. So this is customizable, so I just have it as one split in the middle, but it just snaps right directly into that little slot, which I feel like sometimes it's a bit easier than use the Windows layout, because sometimes, you know, you have to like fight with it to get the specific layout that you want, and then you have to choose whichever app comes across. So yeah, just a different way to do it, I suppose. There's a bunch of other things. There's also this cool one which is called Peak. If you've used a Mac, an Apple device, it's quite similar to that, where if you have a file, you can just click, I think in Mac you can just click the spacebar, and it kind of gives you just a preview of the specific file. So this is kind of the same. It's just Control Space, and it quickly displays whatever the file is. So if it's an image, it'll just quickly display a small preview of the image, just so you can see what it is. There's a bunch of other stuff. You're welcome to download it, play around with it. It's really cool. I think the one that I use the most here is probably Always on Top, the Peak one, and yeah, the fancy zones. Those are the three top ones I think that I use. So that's a couple of shortcuts. I hope they can make you a little bit more efficient. So one other shortcut that I have is on my desktop, which is just a script to shut down the computer. So instead of having to go to Start, the power button, Shut Down, I can just click the script and then immediately the computer shuts down, which is quite cool. I hope those are, I guess, somewhat useful in terms of shortcut keys. Always grateful for shortcut keys, and just to make life that much more efficient. And yeah, if you have any cool shortcuts that you use, please do leave them in the comments below. That I would really love to check out and see what other useful shortcuts there are out there that people are using. So otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching.